I'm Thomas Blackwood, and for 42 years, I made my living finding money that people tried to hide. As a senior forensic accountant with the Canadian Revenue Agency, I'd traced embezzlement schemes through offshore accounts, uncovered tax fraud hidden in shell companies, and testified in court cases that put white-collar criminals behind bars. I knew every trick, every loophole, every way someone could try to steal what wasn't theirs. Which is why what happened 3 months ago still keeps me awake at night. My wife Patricia passed away from cancer 4 years ago. Our daughter Emma died in a car accident when she was just 23. That was 19 years ago. And the grief never really goes away, you just learn to carry it differently. For the past 15 years, it had been just me and my son-in-law Derek, Emma's husband. He never remarried. Said he couldn't imagine loving anyone the way he loved Emma. Derek had a son from a previous relationship before he met Emma, a boy named Ryan, who's now 28. After Emma died, Ryan and I grew close. He'd come over every Sunday for dinner. We'd watch hockey together, talk about his job as a real estate paralegal, and sometimes, late at night over whiskey, we'd share memories of Emma. He called me Gramps, even though technically I wasn't his biological grandfather. I called him my grandson because that's what he was in every way that mattered. 3 months ago, on a Tuesday afternoon in October, Ryan texted me, "Gramps, can I take you to lunch? There's something I want to talk to you about." I was semi-retired by then, only consulting on a few cases a year, so I had plenty of time. We met at the Brass Rail, a steakhouse in downtown Toronto that had been there since before Ryan was born. He ordered a burger. I got my usual clubhouse sandwich and coffee. "So what's on your mind?" I asked, watching him fidget with his napkin. "I've been thinking about my future," he said. "About settling down, maybe buying a house. The market's crazy right now, and I wanted to get your advice." We talked about mortgages and down payments. I told him about the importance of a good inspection, about property taxes, about all the things a first-time buyer needs to know. He seemed genuinely interested, asking smart questions, taking notes on his phone. I was halfway through my sandwich when my phone buzzed. It was my home security app, the one I'd installed after a break-in attempt in my neighborhood 6 months earlier. The notification read, "Motion detected, front entrance. Door opened 2:47 p.m. I frowned and opened the app. The camera feed showed a woman in a navy blazer standing in my foyer, looking around with the practiced eye of someone who knew exactly what they were looking for. "Everything okay, Gramps?" Ryan asked. "There's someone in my house," I said, my voice steady despite the adrenaline starting to pump through my veins. Ryan leaned over to look at my phone. "Oh," he said, and something in his tone made me look up sharply. "It's probably just the cleaning service, right? Didn't you say you were trying out a new company?" "My cleaning lady comes on Thursdays," I said slowly, "and she has her own key. She wouldn't set off the motion detector, the system knows her schedule." Ryan's face went pale. Maybe she changed her day? I was already pulling up the camera's recording history. The app shows the door was unlocked with a key at 2:47. But the only keys to my house are mine, the spare I keep in my office safe, and, I stopped, the spare key I'd given to Derek years ago, for emergencies. On the screen, the woman had moved to my home office. She was taking photos of the room with her phone, measuring the windows, examining my bookshelves. My stomach tightened. "Ryan," I said quietly, "why is there a real estate agent in my house?" He wouldn't meet my eyes. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Look at me, son." He did, and I saw it. The guilt, the fear, the same expression I'd seen on the faces of 100 people I'd investigated over my career, people who knew they'd been caught but weren't ready to admit it yet. "Start talking," I said, "now." He put down his burger. His hands were shaking. "Gramps, I can explain." "Then explain. Why is there a Century 21 agent in my house taking measurements?" "It's not what you think." "What I think," I interrupted, my voice hard, "is that someone is preparing to list my property without my knowledge or consent. What I think is that the only person who has a key to let them in is your father. What I think is that my grandson, the boy I've treated like my own blood, is sitting across from me lying to my face." Ryan's eyes filled with tears. "We were trying to help you." "Help me what? Sell my house? The house Patricia and I bought 43 years ago? The house where Emma took her first steps? You're 64 years old, living alone in a 4-bedroom house," he said desperately. "Dad and I thought you'd be better off in a condo. Something smaller, easier to maintain. You could use the money to travel, to enjoy your retirement. Did I ask for help? I cut him off. Did I say I wanted to move? No, but nothing. I stood up, threw 2 20s on the table. I'm going home. Don't follow me. I drove back to my house in North York, with my hands gripping the steering wheel so tight my knuckles went white. The real estate agent's car, a silver Lexus with a Century 21 decal, was still in my driveway. She was coming out my front door when I pulled up. Mid-40s, perfectly styled blonde hair, carrying a tablet and a lockbox. Can I help you? I asked, walking toward her. She smiled that professional smile they teach in real estate school. Mr. Blackwood? I'm Jennifer Walsh from Century 21. Your son Derek asked me to do a market evaluation on your property. Beautiful home. I think we could list it for around $1.8 million in this market. Did he now? I held out my hand. I'll need to see your authorization to enter my property. Her smile faltered. Derek said you'd agreed to this. Derek lied. You've just committed trespassing. I could call the police, but I won't this time. Give me the key you used to get in, and leave. Now. She handed over the key, the one I'd given Derek, and practically ran to her car. Inside my house, I went straight to my office. Everything looked normal at first glance, but I knew better. The papers on my desk had been shifted slightly. My filing cabinet drawer wasn't quite closed all the way. I sat down at my computer and did what I'd done for 4 decades. I followed the money. My bank accounts were fine. My investment portfolios were untouched. But when I logged into my property records through the provincial land registry, something made my blood run cold. There was a document filed 3 weeks ago, a power of attorney form, signed by me, giving Derek full authority to make decisions regarding my real estate holdings. Except I'd never signed it. I pulled up the PDF and examined the signature. It was good, very good. Someone had practiced. But I'd signed thousands of documents in my career, and I knew my own signature better than anyone. The loop on the T in Thomas was too wide. The cross on the key in Blackwood was too short. It was a forgery. I sat back in my chair, feeling like I'd been punched in the chest. This wasn't just about selling my house. This was fraud. This was identity theft. This was my son-in-law, the man who'd married my daughter, the man I'd comforted at her funeral, trying to steal my home. My phone rang. Derek. Thomas. I just talked to Ryan. Please, let me explain. Come to my house, I said. Both of you. Now, we're going to have a conversation. They arrived 40 minutes later. Derek looked haggard, 10 years older than his 51 years. Ryan couldn't stop crying. I let them in and led them to the dining room, the same table where we'd shared hundreds of Sunday dinners. I laid out printed copies of the forged power of attorney, the real estate agent's business card that I'd found on my desk, and the notification logs from my security system. Talk, I said. Derek spoke first. After Emma died, I inherited a small insurance payout. I invested it in a condo development project. The developer promised guaranteed returns. It was supposed to be safe. Let me guess, I said. It wasn't. It was a Ponzi scheme. I lost everything, $340,000. And I didn't just lose my money. I borrowed against my house, took out loans. I'm $180,000 in debt, Thomas. The bank is going to foreclose in 6 weeks. Ryan wiped his eyes. I tried to help him, Gramps. I took out a personal loan, borrowed from friends, but it wasn't enough. We were desperate. So you decided to sell my house, I said flatly. Without telling me. We were going to tell you, Derek insisted. After we had a buyer, after we'd worked out all the details. We'd have convinced you it was a good idea. By lying to me? By forging my signature? We knew you'd say no if we asked directly, Ryan said. You're so stubborn about this house, about keeping everything the same, about holding on to the past. This house is my past, I shouted, and they both flinched. This is where your mother laughed. This is where she grew up. This is where she brought you, Derek, the first time she introduced us. This is where we celebrated her 23rd birthday, 3 months before she died. You want me to give that up so you can pay off your gambling debts? It wasn't gambling, Derek started. An investment scheme that promised guaranteed returns? That's gambling, Derek. That's greed. And instead of coming to me, instead of asking for help like family should, you decided to commit fraud. The room fell silent except for the ticking of the grandfather clock in the corner. Here's what's going to happen, I said, and my voice was the same voice I'd used in courtrooms. the voice that had made criminals confess and lawyers reconsider their strategies. First, Derek, you're going to call that real estate agent and tell her there's been a mistake. You're going to apologize and make sure she understands that no listing agreement exists. Derek nodded. Second, you're both going to come with me tomorrow to a lawyer's office. We're going to file paperwork to void that forged power of attorney, and you're both going to sign affidavits admitting what you did. Thomas Derek began. I'm not finished. Third, we're going to the police. You're going to confess to forgery and attempted fraud. Ryan stood up so fast his chair fell over. Gramps, please, I'll lose my paralegal license. Dad could go to jail. You should have thought about that before you forged my signature. I slammed my hand on the table. Do you understand what you've done? I spent my entire career fighting people like you. People who think the rules don't apply to them. People who think they can take shortcuts. Who think they're smarter than everyone else. We're not criminals, Derek said quietly. We're your family. Family doesn't steal from family. Family doesn't lie. Family doesn't forge documents and hire real estate agents behind your back. I stood up and walked to the window, looking out at the maple tree in my front yard. Emma used to climb that tree when she was 7. Patricia had been terrified she'd fall, but Emma had been fearless. I could send you both to prison, I said, my back still turned. The Crown would prosecute this case in a heartbeat. Fraud against a senior citizen? They'd make an example of you. I heard Ryan sob. But Emma wouldn't want that. I turned around. She loved you both. So here's what I'm going to do instead. You're going to sell your house, Derek. Every penny from that sale goes toward paying off your debts. You're going to get a financial counselor and learn to live within your means. Ryan, you're going to tell your employer what happened before they find out another way. If they fire you, that's the consequence of your choices. And us? Derek asked. Are we still family? I looked at them both, these two men I'd loved, who'd betrayed me in the worst possible way. I don't know yet, I said honestly. Trust isn't a light switch. You can't turn it off and on. You broke something between us, and I don't know if it can be fixed, but I'm willing to try, if you're willing to do the work. Anything, Ryan said. Gramps, anything. Then start with the truth. All of it. How long have you been planning this? What came out over the next 3 hours destroyed me. They'd been planning for 6 months. They'd consulted 3 different real estate agents. They'd researched condos they thought I'd like, planned which of my furniture would fit, even looked into retirement communities. They'd practiced forging my signature for weeks, using old Christmas cards and birthday notes I'd signed. They'd planned my entire future without me. When they finally left after signing papers, after agreeing to weekly meetings with me and a family therapist, after promising to make this right, I sat alone in my empty house and cried for the first time since Patricia's funeral. The next morning, I called my lawyer, Michael Ramirez. We'd worked together on dozens of cases over the years. I trusted him completely. Michael, I need you to draft some documents for me, I said. A new will, a proper power of attorney, with specific limitations, and a living trust that protects my assets. Everything okay, Tom? I told him everything. Jesus, he breathed. Are you pressing charges? No, but I'm protecting myself going forward. I want every safeguard in place. I want checks and balances. I want it so that no one, not Derek, not Ryan, not anyone can make decisions about my property, my finances, or my life without multiple signatures and court approval. I'll draft everything by Friday, Michael said. Tom, I'm sorry this happened. Me too. Over the next 2 months, Derek sold his house and moved into a modest apartment. He got a second job bartending on weekends. Ryan's law firm put him on probation but didn't fire him. I wrote them a letter explaining the situation and vouching for his character. Despite everything, they both attended weekly therapy sessions, sometimes together, sometimes separately. I didn't join them. I wasn't ready. But I did start meeting Ryan for coffee every other Wednesday. Not at the Brass Rail, I couldn't go back there yet. At a Tim Hortons near his office, neutral territory. We didn't talk about what happened. We talked about hockey, about his job, about small, safe things. Derek and I haven't spoken beyond what's necessary for the legal proceedings. Maybe someday, maybe not. Last week, I got a letter in the mail. It was from Derek, handwritten on lined paper. Thomas, it said, I know I don't deserve your forgiveness. I know what I did was unforgivable. But I need you to know that every day I wake up and I'm ashamed. Not because I got caught, because I betrayed the man who welcomed me into his family when I had nothing, who treated me like a son, who held me when Emma died. I betrayed the person who loved my son like his own grandson. I can't take it back. I can't undo it. But I'm going to spend the rest of my life trying to be worthy of the trust you once had in me. Whether or not you ever give me another chance, I'm going to be better. I owe that to Emma's memory. I owe that to you. I keep the letter in my desk drawer. I read it sometimes, usually late at night when I can't sleep. Here's what I learned from all of this, and what I want you to understand. The people who hurt us aren't always strangers. They're not always the obvious villains. Sometimes they're the ones sitting across from us at the dinner table. They're the ones who know where we hide our spare keys. They're the ones who know our routines, our weaknesses, our blind spots. And the worst part, they don't always set out to hurt us. Derek and Ryan didn't wake up one morning and decide to be criminals. They made small compromises, told small lies, justified small deceptions. It's for his own good, they probably told themselves. He'll thank us later. He's too stubborn to see reason. We're helping him. That's how it always starts. Let me leave you with something practical, the kind of advice I wish someone had shaken into me years ago, before I learned it the hardest way possible. First, never give anyone unrestricted access to your finances, your property, or your legal documents, no matter how much you love them, and no matter how long you've known them. Trust is not a strategy. Love is not a contract. And loyalty, unfortunately, is not always permanent. If someone needs access, make it limited and controlled. Set up proper legal protections. Require multiple signatures. Create checks and balances. And never sign anything without having a lawyer you trust review it first. Not a family friend. Not someone recommended by the person asking for access. Your own attorney, someone whose job is to protect you, not keep the peace. Because when money is involved, people don't just become different, they become desperate. And desperation makes people do things they once swore they'd never do. Second, monitor your accounts like your life depends on it, because in many ways, it does. I spent 42 years catching criminals. I was trained to notice patterns, to question inconsistencies, to follow trails. I worked as a forensic accountant, and even with all that experience, I still made the same mistake millions of people make. I assumed the danger would come from strangers. It didn't. I didn't check my property records for months. I didn't review my statements closely enough. I didn't set up alerts. I didn't verify. And by the time I realized something was wrong, the damage was already done. So don't make my mistake. Set up automatic notifications for large withdrawals, account changes, new signatures, anything unusual. Review your statements regularly. Know exactly what you own, what you owe, and what's happening with your name attached to it. Your money is not just numbers, it is your freedom. Third, protect your important documents like they're priceless, because they are. Don't leave them in a filing cabinet that anyone can open. Don't store them in a desk drawer. Don't assume that because it's your home, it's safe. Get a safe. Use a safety deposit box. Lock down access to passports, property records, wills, power of attorney paperwork, anything that could be used to sign away your future. And here's something most people never think about. Make it difficult for someone to forge your signature. If they can easily access old documents with your handwriting, they can copy it. If they can find your old checks, they can practice. If they can pull out letters, contracts, or forms you've signed before, they can learn the shape of your name like a criminal learns a lock. You shouldn't have to think that way, but you should. Fourth, talk to your family about your wishes while you're healthy, sharp, and clear-minded. Don't wait until you're sick. Don't wait until there's an emergency. Don't leave room for guessing, interpreting, or assuming. Say what you want. Put it in writing. Make it unmistakably clear. Because grief makes people irrational. And when grief mixes with money, it can turn even good people into someone you don't recognize. If you don't set the terms, others will. And the story they tell themselves might not match what you wanted at all. And finally, the hardest truth of all. Accept that the people you love can hurt you. Not because they're monsters. Not because they wake up intending to destroy you. But because they're human. They get scared. They make selfish choices. They panic. They feel entitled. They convince themselves they deserve something. They justify what they're doing by telling themselves it's temporary, or necessary, or for the family. That's the Wanna King in Bloated. Sometimes they even convince themselves they're helping you while they're robbing you blind. It has been 3 months since that Tuesday afternoon at the brass rail, the day my life split into before and after. I still live in my house. The walls are the same, the rooms haven't changed, but everything inside me has. I still cook meals. I still set the table. I still have Sunday dinners, but now I eat them alone. Outside, the maple tree in my front yard is starting to bud. Spring is coming. The world keeps moving forward, whether you're ready or not. Derek has managed to pay off half his debts. Ryan got a promotion at work. They're trying. They're both trying to rebuild what they broke. And I'm trying too. I'm trying to understand what forgiveness looks like when the wound is still open. I'm trying to figure out whether trust can ever return once it's been shattered. I'm trying to make peace with the fact that love doesn't always protect you. Sometimes it's the very thing that makes you vulnerable. I don't have all the answers yet. Maybe I never will. But I do know this. I'm 64 years old. I spent 42 years catching criminals. I thought I understood deception. I thought I understood betrayal. And in the end, the biggest crime committed against me wasn't by a stranger in the dark. It was committed by the people I loved most. That is the truth I have to live with. So if you take anything from my story, let it be this. Protect yourself. Trust carefully. And remember, the signature on a document matters, especially when it's supposed to be yours.